Are you wondering what the benefits are of a die cut part versus a roll of tape? Keep watching, we'll give you 6 reasons why to go with a die cut adhesive over a roll of tape. The last thing you want to do is hand cut your adhesive parts. In this video, we'll talk about creating tight, clean, and low profile adhesive parts. Die cut adhesives are parts that are cut out of large rolls of adhesive down into smaller shapes and sizes that fit all types of different profiles that are ultimately used in applications. Though rolls of adhesive up front can be cheaper than die cut parts, in the long term, when you factor in things like labor, waste, scrap, it can actually be a lot cheaper to go with a die cut part over a roll of tape. Die cut parts can be a huge time savings in the manufacturing process. So instead of somebody, for example, masking off a bunch of cars with a roll of tape, such as a headlight assembly, if you have a die cut of that specific headlight assembly, that worker can simply go peel it off of a roll and stick it directly on that headlight assembly rather than sitting there masking it off by hand. We can implement things like tabs within your die cut part that also speed up that process in the long run. So instead of being able to mask off 50 cars an hour, you might be able to mask off 150 cars an hour. Accurate parts is very important within the manufacturing process. For one, it can help reduce waste as well as potential loss in revenue. If you cut a gasket part slightly off and it doesn't exactly contour to the housing of the part you're trying to gasket, it may not seal that properly, allowing for air or water ingress, which is inevitably going to be a failed part for the end user of that part, or even within your testing, and it becomes a scrap part within your manufacturing process. Die cut parts can also help speed up production. One of the main ways is due to the fact that you have a roll of parts sitting there ready to be used, compared to somebody taking a roll of tape, cutting out that specific part by hand, which is going to be inconsistent, and using that one at a time. When you have a roll sitting there, someone can just grab it and use it right away. That's going to allow you to crank out more units per minute, per hour, which inevitably can help speed up your production. Another thing we can do within the die cutting process is multi-laminations. A lot of times you're sticking substrate X to substrate Y, and those two things may have different surface energies, adhesion levels, and what adhesive works here may not work necessarily here. So we can actually laminate different materials together, which will inevitably create the strongest bond possible between X substrate and Y substrate to make sure that your part is functional within your application. Another benefit of die cut parts is it reduces waste. So instead of somebody sitting there and cutting with scissors and not having consistency of spacing between part to part within the roll, or having a part where they accidentally cut too sharp or too wide or too long or too short, you're getting that consistent part without any waste material added in there from human error. Consistency is extremely important within die cut parts. If you have a part that isn't cut properly and it fails in the end application, that's a completely scrapped unit. So if it's already bonded to other parts within the assembly, that's just more things that are going to waste. It's not just wasting the tape, but wasting the other components that may be attached to that. So the waste can actually add up, and the scrap rate can actually add up to a decent amount of money over time. There's a lot of things to consider when you're looking at a roll of tape or a die cut part. And I don't want you to just look at the upfront costs. I want you to look at the labor that's involved with it, as well as the waste that's involved with it when you're not receiving consistent, tight tolerance in spec parts. If you have any further questions, feel free to visit our Learning Center on our website or reach out to us directly. Thanks for watching.